What's up, everybody? J-Heat Sports Media coming at y'all again with that fire as always, spitting the hot topics and getting the sports conversation started. Y'all know what I'm talking about: football, basketball, and boxing. Want to get into some basketball right quick. The MVP race is heating up in the NBA, and there was some controversy on ESPN First Take. Kendrick Perkins, JJ Redick, hopefully you saw it. Perk brought up a discussion: is the Joker getting MVP consideration strictly because of his race? Let's talk about it. So Big Perk, he was basically saying that when you look back, going back to about 1990, only 3 players have won the league MVP and not been ranked in the top 10 scoring. This was how he came up with his rationale. Those 3 players that weren't in the top 10 scoring that won the league MVP, he said, was Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, and the Joker. And he said, you know what they got in common. He also said that the panel of people who vote for the league MVP is about 80% Caucasian versus 20% minority. Now, that was cleared up that it actually is a little more diverse than that, but still not extremely diverse. We talking in the upper 60% Caucasian and around 33% maybe minority. Still, there's a reason to think there could be some unconscious bias, and that's what Kendrick Perkins was pointing to. Now, this infuriated JJ Redick, that they would say that Perk would try to bring this up. And he even went into the fact that just going back to 1990 with Perk's stats was a little disingenuous, like he was trying to single out the 3 Caucasian or European guys. And if you go back further, there were some guys that were African American that fit that description that won league MVP, which is true. Perk, while he can make the point that unconscious bias exists in all forms of life, definitely in the workforce, and that sometimes that plays a part in situations of how people get jobs, how votes are tallied in different careers, different fields, and maybe even in some cases in the National Basketball Association. However, he picked the wrong person to make this example with the Joker. We all know the Joker's a bad boy. And for those that don't realize it, there's 2 bad white boys, if we want to call them that, Europeans, that are playing this game right now today in the NBA, and Luka and the Joker. And they some grown men out there when they hooping. And be prepared to see them in MVP conversations for years to come, as long as they healthy, because that's how bad these dudes are. And the Joker, regardless of what Perk wanted to say about the fact that last year the Joker kind of like broke precedent because his team wasn't a top 4 seed in his conference and he still won the MVP, and Embiid should have won it last year in Perk's opinion, because again, Embiid was leading the league in scoring and the Joker wasn't. First of all, that precedent wasn't set by the Joker. You can go back a few years further when Russell Westbrook was lower than a 4 seed in the Western Conference and won the league MVP. Now, he's not Caucasian. He averaged a triple-double, though, and because of that, we hadn't seen it in so many years since the great Oscar Robertson. They gave that MVP to Russ. Even though you could have made a strong case that James Harden deserved it. His numbers were close to a triple-double average for that year, and his team was definitely doing a lot better in terms of wins. And it even happened in the postseason, but this is a regular season award, so I'm not going to dwell on that. But regular season-wise, Harden had the better regular season overall, but they gave it to Russ because of the impact of that triple-double that year. Last year with the Joker, his numbers, his efficiency across the board also was historical. Not just from scoring. Perk wants to point to points per game as a deciding factor for his league MVP, when scoring isn't the only thing that you do out there. Now, you can make the argument that Embiid plays both ends of the floor better than the Joker, because he's definitely better on the defensive end. The Joker leaves something to be desired on the defensive end. But when we start saying things like, should the Joker win it 3 years in a row and be put in the same classification as the only other guys to do that, like Larry Bird, Bill Russell, and Wilt Chamberlain, when he doesn't even have a championship like Perk was also claiming? Remember, it's a regular season award, and it's about this season, not last season. And whether you thought Embiid deserved it or not last year, the case could be made for Joker both seasons. And last year, Embiid even had Harden on his team midway through the year, which that factors in when you got a guy who's been a league MVP and is the caliber of player Harden is. Sometimes it takes away from either player on the team winning the league MVP. Shaq and Kobe experienced this. Durant and Curry have experienced that. So it happens. That being said, I don't think you can point to any unconscious bias being made in the league MVP voting, because year after year, most times it is not a Caucasian. And you can point to how successful Nash's team was when he won, even if you don't think he should have won it 2 years. But he definitely won it in a year where his team was just the best team in the league and he was the driving force. Same thing with Dirk. And they were doing more than just scoring. And with Jokic, he gets more boards than Embiid, more assists than Embiid. This year, again, he doesn't have an MVP caliber type of player like a James Harden on his team, and his team is number 1 in the conference. So right now, for Joker to be leading in MVP votes is not unforeseen. Giannis has a stake in it because his team has a number 1 record in his conference. But Embiid is number 3 right now in his conference. And his numbers across the board aren't as good as Joker's. They just aren't. So Perk can make the argument all he wants that he thinks Embiid deserves to be in the conversation, and maybe that's his front runner. But to bring race into it was totally a bad moment and really poor judgment on Perk's part and disrespectful to the Joker. But let me know what y'all think. Holla at you. All right, that's all the time I got. Y'all know what it is and you know what you're looking for. J-Heat Sports Media. Remember to get at me at the comments. Let's go back and forth. Holla at me on YouTube, Instagram, at TheVaultJMU414 on Twitter, and of course, what's up TikTok? Holla at y'all next time.